3, 2, 1, 8.
On KBLA, James Farr's on the mic, lifting up the people, keeping hope in sight. With Altadena spirit, he fights the good fight, speaking truth to power, shining the light. Flames try to break us, but we're standing tall. Lost our homes, but we ain't lost at all. Through the smoke and the ashes, we see the sun. Altadena's fight has just begun. Just begun. We'll rise again, we'll build it strong. Through the struggle, yes, we belong. Hand in hand, through dust and pain, Altadena's heart remains.
Live from Leimert Park, KBLA, Talk 1580. You're listening to The Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, and I am your host, James Farr. This is the show of record, and we are chronicling for the nation the January Altadena Eaton Canyon fire. I want to thank you for allowing me into your cars, into your living rooms. A little drizzly out today. You know, it's expected to see some sunshine later on, so maybe you're out or planning your activities in that backyard or wherever your day may take you. I want to thank you for allowing me into your space. Want to also invite you to follow us on social media across all platforms at KBLA Talk 1580. And then you can also follow me at James Farr live across all social media. And then if you've missed any of our previous episodes and you want to catch up on them, podcast is available at the KBLA YouTube page and on most major podcast platforms. I even found out that if you say, hey, Google, or hey, Alexa, play Conversation Live, or play KBLA Talk 1580, it'll actually play the station for you. So make sure you check that out. Let me tell you a little bit about today's program. In the bottom of the hour, Christopher Walker, who is with R.E.M Supply. He's a supply chain professional and has a little understanding about building and kind of the nuance of how cost and things in there. I'm in here doing math today on a napkin. And at the top of the hour, Alexis with Bridgeline Construction. She is known as the Lady Builder. And we're going to talk about construction. We're going to talk about rebuilding today. But first up, I want to get to some facts. These are some facts, all facts, and there's no cap in this. As of now, you know, I told you last week, one building permit had been issued in Altadena, and then just earlier this week, news broke about one homeowner who has started construction and breaking ground to rebuild her home. Well, what we do know is that there were thousands of homes destroyed, nearly 7,000 homes that are destroyed. So I think that's good news that one person has been able to start rebuilding. But, you know, today we're going to look at what it actually costs to rebuild, right? When we get into that supply chain portion of our conversation, you know, yesterday's prices aren't today's prices and likely not going to be tomorrow's prices. And so when we think about, you know, tariffs, we think about the global economy, we think about the cost of lumber, the widgets, the fit, the things that have to, fixtures is what I'm trying to say, the screws, the nuts, the bolts, like all of these things have to, are a part of a more global economy. And so as that rebuilding, or folks are planning to rebuild, these are things that have to be factored in. You're looking at, and Erica Alexis will be able to help us understand this a little bit more when we welcome her into the seat. But, conservatively, you're looking at maybe $300 to $500 per square foot to build. And, if you're going with a little bit more of an upgrade, you're looking possibly $500 to $750 per square foot to rebuild. And if you're, on a larger upscale luxury level, you can be upwards of $1,500 per square foot to rebuild or build a home in Altadena. And so the bottom line of that is, when you look at the cost, if folks are rebuilding 1,500 square foot homes, I'm still sitting here doing the math on the napkin, right? But folks may not have enough money in resources from their insurance, because, as we said earlier, what it costs today is not going to be what it's going to cost in the future. And we're looking at several years before folks are really in that process. A little bit later in the show, I'll tell you about some updates from the Army Corps of Engineering and how they have what their path is, and how they're tracking to remove some of the homes. So my burning question today, and I'm going to get to that burning question before we come forward, but my burning question today is, if you could not afford to build yesterday, how will you be able to build tomorrow? Erica Alexis is going to help us understand that. She's with Bridgeline Construction. They know her out there as the Lady Builder, and she has an incredible story. She's very knowledgeable, and I'm looking forward to unpacking with her. When we come forward, Erica will join us only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eaton Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality, because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial, because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining, where you're praying for a miracle, and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is, we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
And welcome forward. You're listening to the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. I am your host, James Farr. And we are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. So I was sitting here, before we came forward, and I'm still trying to figure out this math and understand what it actually really costs to rebuild. And so I'm fortunate that Erica Alexis is in the seat, and I'm excited to have this conversation with her. She is the founder of Bridgeline Construction and Development. She is a graduate of UCLA. She has furthered her education at USC in real estate, and she's like a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth generation. I think at some point in all of our ancestry, we all have a little bit of the trades in us, right? Either by force of choice, but she comes with an extensive background in this space, having handled over $30 million in projects and some pretty notable clients like the Los Angeles Police Airport, as well as the Clippers, to just name a few. So, Erica, Alexis, good morning. How you doing, sister?
Good morning. I'm doing well. I guess my green jacket distracted you, but yes, that is my favorite color. But I'm doing well.
You know what? Now that you say that like
you
that,
see green everywhere.
You see green, like I said, if folks can see now, if they can hear your social media, right, or hear your brand aesthetics, your branding,
yes.
Like you have this very, I don't want to call it neon green. You got me way somewhere else, but you like green.
It's a
right?
safety green.
It's a safety.
It's
green.
a safety green.
Ah.
And there's a history behind it. I know we're not here to talk about it, but I'll say it real quick. In high school, I was known as the lime green queen.
Okay.
That carried through college. So when people saw green, they thought of me.
Okay.
And then they messed up because when I started my business, I realized that according to OSHA, there is a certified safety green in the 3 colors for construction. So you see safety orange, you see safety yellow, but you don't really see a construction company that uses the safety green. So we do that a lot.
Wow. Well, it certainly stands out. So
Thank you.
how do you end up, give us a quick backstory on you in construction, right? I mean, because, you get your nails dirty. I've actually seen it. You are actually on site.
Yes.
You're a licensed B general contractor,
Correct.
right? How do you end up in this space? What's the background?
I think it was my friendship with my grandfather. My grandfather and my great-grandfather were both general contractors. We actually have a street named after us in Nashville, Tennessee. It's called Dennis Lane, and he was honored by the city for the work he did. Going into that history and being really close with my grandfather, I understood the importance of legacy. In 2008, my family unfortunately lost everything that my grandfather built, and I felt like it was my initiative to get it back. I tried everything, and then I actually ended up on a work site in 2015 on Labor Day, and decided that I actually love exactly what made him who he was. I'm the only person in my family to carry it on, and I just happen to be a woman. So
It just happened to be a woman, and y'all can't
not
see
my
it.
choice.
And certainly is a black woman, right?
Yes.
You can't hide from. So you're working with families, right?
Yes.
We're talking about Altadena. We're
Yes.
talking about rebuilding. We're talking about the costs. You've started. Although you haven't broken ground on any projects
No.
as of yet, right?
Yes,
So
we're
permit,
still we're
Okay.
still in planning. Yeah.
One permit has been issued in the county.
Yes, it has.
I mean, yes, in the county for Altadena. One home broke ground a week or so ago.
Correct.
What's that process like? First, I want to kind of get to the kind of human element of it. You're dealing with people who, before January 7th, their home was in the same place that you're
Yep.
talking about building a new home, right?
Correct.
What's that experience like? What are you hearing from them? What are they experiencing, even having that conversation with you?
I appreciate you asking that question. I think that's the most important part of this process, is that you're working with a different demographic that we've never seen before, and that demographic is people that didn't intend on building. And so if you didn't intend on building, there's a different layer of a sense of overwhelm. So going through this process, I think the first thing is understanding, meeting them where they are, and seeing, even before we get to the construction phase, what position they're in. There are so many layers in this fire in regards to being underinsured, no insured, having insurance. And so having that realistic conversation. If we're talking about some of the clients that I have, I think it's more than a business relationship. It's become a friendship, because vice versa. I understand where they need to go, and they're letting me know where they are. And so we understand how to work together. There's several processes. If this was a regular construction project, you would just go in and you'd be excited for design, right? But dealing in this matter, you have to understand that there's a sense of reality. And I think what snapped me into reality was slow down. We have time. There is no rush. There is this, there was a sense of urgency, I would say a month ago, where my clients were like, I just want to, hurry up and get my house back, hurry up and get my house back. But what we don't want to do is rush through the most important choice of your new life. And
what are they finding? Because you're saying slow down, right? And I love that as a theme, right?
Yes.
Because I think there was a lot of hurry up, right, in the beginning, right? There was a lot of energy, enthusiasm, excitement, resilience, right?
Yes.
Like we're talking about here, roots and resilience and recovery. But what are they realizing that's making them slow down in that process?
What they're realizing is I have the time to create something new. I have the time to grieve. I have the time to realize that I can't go home anymore. There's a lot of people that I'm working with now that I ask them, I'm 3 or 4 meetings in and I'm saying, do you still think about going home? And they say, absolutely, every day. And that is what breaks them down. There's certain elements where they have pictures of their homes where we're sharing and they're breaking down through those moments, right? And so it's understanding, like, we don't have to design your living room today. We can come back to this next week. You have time, and so the element of slow down is you want to do this right. I know that you didn't choose to do this, but I want to do it right so that it's better, but this is going to be your new home, your new legacy that you're handing down for the next, 30, 50 years.
But now let's speed it up, right? Because there is the hurry up part, right? Like people want to get back home, like you're saying. So what does the process look like? And then I want to get to kind of what the global impact, the economy, and what it really costs to build. But what's the process looking like right now? Because I'm hearing that permits are expensive. I'm hearing that the county doesn't have it together. And in fairness, perhaps they weren't prepared to obviously deal with thousands of people needing the same thing. But what are you experiencing as a builder?
So I think it's a very unique situation. And you say to speed it up. I commend Karen Bass for actually.
But Karen Bass ain't got nothing to do with Altadena.
I understand. Hear me out.
All right.
Hear me out.
Okay.
I commend Karen Bass for collaborating with development, with Boots on the Ground, Steadfast LA. I believe that LA County needs to have some sort of development expertise or construction expertise to understand what we're facing right now. There are certain things coming into our elements that we don't know. There are a lot of unknowns. 2025 building codes are going to be very imperative. There are a lot of conversations that I believe that builders should be a part of. But as far as speeding it up, there are certain things that we have to face reality on. And when we started out in LA County, they said there was a 30-day permit process. That has severely changed. And what they didn't disclose is that 30-day planning process was only for planning. Building and safety was still undetermined even at that time. A month ago, it was the 30-day process was extending to 40 days. And building and safety, you're about a month and a half.
Well, let me ask rhetorically, right? You've built homes in LA County before.
Yes.
More than one.
Yes.
More than 5.
In LA County, no. I've done commercial in LA County.
You've done commercial, but you've built in the county,
Yes, I've built in the county.
Over the years, right? How long does the average home take to build? Barring
not even the average home. The average home is easy, 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6
the
months.
average permit process, 8 to 10 months, and that is before this catastrophe. So that's the realistic conversation with LA County. Is you're saying these 30-day processes, and I know they're working on it. They're working diligently. They've actually made progress. However, when we get to building and safety, we definitely have to do it different. We have to incorporate AI. We have to incorporate these different things.
What because I've heard, and I'm gonna come back to the AI question, but in terms of like building costs, right? Like what I'm average now, $500 before the fire, perhaps to build a
I like this
home?
question. Okay, so let's say this: tariffs haven't happened. So if any contractor is out there saying
you're getting ahead of me. You're getting ahead of me.
I'm saying because that impacts the per square foot cost. People are using that as an excuse. we're looking at anywhere between $375 to, I would say, $525 per square foot on a standard finish. If you're elaborate and luxury finishes, which we're seeing in the Palisades, on the average we're seeing $900 to $1,150 per square foot in the Palisades based on the finishes. But you still have those in Altadena as well because they're luxury finishes. However, depending on the actual builder, what a lot of people don't understand is the overhead, the size of the company, if they're subcontracting the scope out. A lot of these variances are the reasons that this price per square foot is going up. But what is imperative is that that in this situation, we really come together. What we've done, we started a nonprofit, Beacon LA, and we've put together a lot of contractors. And what is imperative is understanding what is in that per square foot price. A lot of consumers, and I say this, there's a few things. One, definitely ask what is covered in that square foot price if they're giving a lump sum price, because a lot of builders are not including foundations, and that could potentially affect the homeowner later on when they have a huge change order that they can't afford because of their insurances. Two, they definitely need to understand, and I meant to say this before, I just want to make sure I say this before we run out of time. It's important for the people to know. We are at max rates for insurance. But the max rates are dictated on a $250 on average, State Farm and some others, building rate. If you have a contractor already, they have the power to go back and negotiate that rate and to clarify how much our California rates building costs are, and they could potentially increase their costs for insurance. I just want to make sure I get that out there.
But I'm trying to go back that 1,500 square foot home.
Yep.
Right. What does it cost? That's about an average size home.
Yeah. So you're at about $500,000-$600,000. I don't have my calculator here, but yeah, anywhere between $375 and $515,000 or per 500 per square foot.
Per square foot.
So
Okay.
if you're looking at, I could do it really quickly for you.
Yeah, I guess it's about $750,000 on the top.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're about $500,000 to $800,000.
$500,000 to $800,000.
Yep.
Right now.
Yep.
4 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years from now, a year from now, we're not looking at the same prices, and that's where you were talking about the tariffs and stuff. We just got a couple of more minutes before we got to move forward.
What I'm saying is that what people don't understand is insurance is moving with us. So if your contractor is submitting the justification for these costs, they are going to reprice and reevaluate it. Say you build in 2 years or you build in 4 years, they will readjust these prices. Mm-hmm. So it kind of dims it down from, is it going to go up? The insurance is aware that Is
there anything somebody can do right now to lock in a price? Is that how it works?
Get an approved permit. That is all. And if your contractor is savvy, they will be working with you through the process. When my customers are going through the process, any choice that they make, I price out that difference so they know the variance in that price.
How can people get in touch with you?
You could reach me a couple of ways. The easiest way is theladybuilder.com. That's also bridgelineconstruction.com. If it's in regards to Altadena, you can follow us on Beacon Altadena on Instagram, thelady.builder on Instagram, and at Bridgeline Construction for construction needs. But yes.
Are you open? Are you working with more people,
yes,
or is your plate full right now?
No, our plate is not full. We are actually working on a few blocks in Altadena right now, and we are still not at our capacity, so we are open for new clients.
Erica Alexis with Bridgeline Construction.
Yes.
All green, all caps has been my guest today. I appreciate you coming in. I'm watching you. I want you to know we see you.
Thank you.
We see the work that you're doing. And more importantly, I see how you are involved in the community, not just from a transactional space, is what we see a lot of people. When we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to get a little bit more into that supply chain, right? Erica's going to build that house. But my next guest is going to talk to us about how tariffs impact the widgets and the fidgets and all the gidgets. I don't know if gidgets is a construction thing. You can obviously see I'm not into that. But when we come forward, Chris Walker is in the seat. You're listening to the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. Stay with us, only on KBLA, Talk 1580. We got your black.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
On January 7th, 2025, the Eaton Canyon fire scorched Altadena, torching everything in its path. Homes, wealth, and legacy burned in one night. But will Altadena rise from the ashes? I'm James Farr. On the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, we're chronicling the recovery, the resilience, and justice for the nation. This is the show of record, unapologetically progressive. We're not blacking down. So join me, James Farr, on the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific with the rebroadcast on Sunday at noon.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
I go to work. I go to work like an architect. I build a rhyme, sometimes it climbs so erect. Skyscrapers look like atoms, cause electrons rolling in patterns. Writing out word after word with each letter, it becomes visibly better. Cause my foundation built a nation of rappers. And after I came off vacation, I came to roam the land to own, stand alone on the microphone. Daddy's home, so open the door. Playtime is over. Time to go to work to show the suckers in the place who run their face. A taste of the bass and who's the ace. Start the race. I'm coming in first. With each verse I build a curse, so rappers can't capture Modi's rapture. And after I have to slap you senseless with endless rhymes. Don't pretend this is anything short of stupendous. And when this rhyme is done, your mind will become so trapped in the rap you lust another one. But you gotta wait, it takes time. I don't write, I build a rhyme. Draw the plans, draft the diagrams, an architect an effect and it slams. And next week when I'm done, renovate and build another one. I go to work.
KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. I'm your host, James Farr, and we are sponsored by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. Erica Alexis just left the studio, and we were in here thinking about doing like the WAP or the Cabbage Patch or whatever. You know, that Kumo D got me feeling a certain kind of way, a little bit of nostalgia. A little old school hip hop, but we got a lot of work to do. That seems to be a theme. We talked about it at the top of the hour, that burning question of if you could not afford to build yesterday, how are you going to afford to build today? And I have joining me Chris Walker, who's with R.E.M Supply Incorporated. He's the business development director. He's also a good brother who has some very strong Altadena ties, Pasadena ties, and this community we keep talking about. You know, everybody knows somebody that knows somebody, and I've known him for years, and I've only just known he was a good brother. Like, I didn't really know what he did until I had an opportunity to find out. So I want to welcome Chris Walker. Chris, brother, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. So, I wish we had a whole lot of time to kind of get into the nuance, but how are you, just first of all, how are you dealing with we're almost 4 months out. We're well over 100 days from the fire. How are you and your family doing? How are your loved ones doing?
Yeah, like you said, definitely have strong ties to Altadena. Family lost their homes, friends, as you know, a host of family and friends, and they're just taking it day by day. Some are doing a little bit better than others, mentally, physically, but that's to be expected. A lot of family and friends around the community have rallied together and lent out support when needed, and hopefully one day they'll be whole again. But that you'll never forget that experience ever. So
definitely. So, you and I were talking the other week, and like again, you're like that subject expert. You really, you are a small business, right? In every definition of what a small business.
I am a very small business.
Very
because
small.
that definition could mean a lot of
things. It could
things.
mean a lot of things, right? It could mean $100 million company.
Depending on your NACE code status, my particular code 423610 is 24 million and below.
And below, right?
And I wish I could say I'm at 23 right now, but
you getting there, man.
I'll let you know when.
Please do. Definitely. That way you pick up the sandwich at Perry's. But so when we're looking at this supply chain, right? Like for someone like you, tell us a little bit more about what R.E.M Supply does. Like, what's your business sector, and how does that translate into this rebuilding process we're in?
Well, R.E.M is a material supplier, so basically our core customer targets are federal government, contractors, local cities, schools, public works, state of California. So it really anybody that's doing anything to do with new construction or maintenance. So either you're building the structure out from ground zero, but after it's built, you have to maintain it, just like a school or a hospital, a prison. They continuously have issues that have to be looked at and repaired or replaced, and that's where we come in.
So that's stuff like those fasteners you'll see on the side of a 2x4, like kind of. And I don't really know what that stuff is called, brother. I can build a conversation.
Right. So basically, anything it could be your conduit, your fittings, your wire, your cable, your panels, your circuit breakers. If it's a larger facility, your switch gear. So all these items, components come together to build one final finish, which is a school or your house.
And so how does that, like, when we look at like this current economy, right? We're talking about how, and you, like I said, you have that duality here. You're a small business owner, you're black, right? You can't do nothing about the latter, but it is what it is. But when those tariffs and stuff, like, how does that pass on to the customer? Are you able to absorb the increases?
Each case is different, and I'll give you an example. I had a customer that needed a particular item, and I had to do some searching online, and I found a source. I said, great. Went online to submit the order. It cost $180, let's say, plus shipping and whatnot. But there was also a tariff fee attached to it, a little over $50. And I was like, oh, okay. You have to be careful how you go back and quote your customers, because if your customer is going around looking online, they'll see one price and they'll say, okay, this is around what this should cost. But they don't go through that whole process to check out, to finally finish the pay. They won't see that additional cost. So you have to be careful and let your customers know what all the costs are going to entail. That's shipping, handling, tariff costs, additional costs, if there is one. You got to let your customer know and be transparent. And
so I think we should explain for the KBLA delegation, who, I know they're listening to First Things First, and with Dominique Dupree and all our great programming here. A tariff essentially is a tax, right? It is,
absolutely.
It is something that is imposed,
correct,
from the country of origin.
Correct.
Right? So China sends a fastener here. Today yesterday that was $1. Today it's $1.50.
Correct.
Right. Because of the tariff, which is just nothing more than a tax. And we're just using these numbers for example for people.
Exactly.
So how, can you absorb that, in that scenario, like that additional increase?
If we're talking about a large scale, no. Because one, if you're quoting your customer or you're dealing with, say, LA County's been buying widget A for this price for a couple years now. All of a sudden, I got to go back to LA County and say, hey, this widget A is now the old price plus 50% or plus 30%. That's going to be a hard pill to swallow for the customer, because one, they have a budget, and two, now what that does is my profit margin, I'm going to have to squeeze that a little bit, because I can't be too high. You can't be too high. You can't be too low. You got to hit that sweet spot. And with these tariffs, what that does is, one, is making the customer rethink if they really need to buy widget A. So a lot of times customers are only buying things that are actually needed instead of buying widget A plus an additional one to put in warehouse or to stock for later on.
Are you already seeing like a slow up in materials and things that you would normally be able to readily get and put out on the market?
Absolutely. We just received a purchase order the other day where we received an order. Then a customer, about an hour later, said, hey, has this already been processed? Because we need to resend that purchase order because of our budget constraints.
Looking at, price increases, tariffs, I mean, we've talked about that burning question. If you couldn't afford to build yesterday, how are you going to afford today? What should people be doing right now as it relates to like getting those fixtures? Should they buy now or should they be waiting? And are you the person?
Well, they could go online and start doing the research on what they need, where it's coming from, because not all tariffs are the same. So you still have time to go online and find some places that have inventory with items that are reasonably priced. But once those inventories are depleted, that price will change. So you can start doing that now. The problem with that is, where are you going to put it? You're buying all this inventory to be ready for a few months. Now you got to spend money on storage or hope the supplier who you bought it from will hold it for you. So that's the issue in itself. But you can start doing your research now, seeing where prices are, where things are coming from. Then you can start planning ahead to know if that particular region or that country where this material is coming from, if they're going to be hit with a particular tariff. Because you could go online and see what's what and where it's coming from right now. That's what I would recommend, because it is very important, because you could go from 10% to 30%, and that will drastically change your budget.
Okay, so I've been doing a whole lot of math today on the back of a napkin, and I clearly the numbers keep going up. How can people get in touch with you? We're hard up on the clock.
They can email me at sales@remsupply.com. I would love to help anybody out if they needed references or resources. It's not all about me getting a sale. If I can help be a conduit for information for folks to get things at a reasonable price and a reasonable time, because there's going to be delays. Be ready, and I would say just be patient.
All right. That's Chris Walker, Business Development Director with R.E.M Supply, Inc. When we come forward, I have some updates for you. You're listening to the conversation live, Altadena Rising. We are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. Stay with us, only on KBLA Talk 1580, your ancestors' favorite radio station.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580. When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
And welcome forward, KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the conversation live, Altadena Rising, and I am your host, James Farr. Man, we've had a great conversation today with Erica Alexis with Bridgeline Construction and Development, and Chris Walker was just here in the studio with me, and he's in the supply chain space. So I wanted to share a couple of updates with you. I had mentioned a little bit earlier in the hour that I had some updates about the Army Corps of Engineers and their removal process and where they are right now. And so as of yesterday, the Army Corps of Engineers have 129 crews working in the Eaton burn scar area. Each crew can clear 70 properties per day. So that's good. That's good to hear, is that process is moving along. And, I was a bit skeptical earlier. I got to keep it 100. I didn't see them making progress this fast, but they anticipate that by the end of April, that properties that have been cleared are just about 3,500 properties, and they have a goal to get to 6,000 properties sometime in the fall. So we're going to continue to track that. Also, another update, this kind of falls into that space that our guest was on, Erica and Chris. We're talking about going to work. We're talking about doing the work. And you have probably heard here on the station, California Black Chamber of Commerce is hosting a small business workshop. It is on May 15th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I think this is a very good resource for folks who are looking to learn how to do business, how to sell their products with the state of California. That's what Chris does. How to contract directly through the small business, the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Program, as well as navigate the pre-bidding process. That all takes place, that and more. You can visit the California Black Chamber of Commerce website for more information, or you can phone them at 916-467-8878. That's 916-467-8878. 8876. It's a great resource. I'm looking forward to being there. Last week I attended the Anthems to Ashes concert that took place over at Memorial Park, which was done in part with Victory Bible Church. Man, it was an incredible event. The rain couldn't keep people away. The performers were incredible. I mean, we're talking about Guapale, Erica Campbell, Lecrae, D Smoke, Asia Marie, the Victory Bible Church choir. Man, they tore it up. You had Travis Green, you had Wale come in, and then my man Son Woe. Man, he just did it. And lastly, Audra Day blessed everybody with her beautiful voice, and she sung "Rise Up," and I'm sure folks got chills just hearing it. So when we come forward, you know how we do it. I got a message in the music. I got a Saturday slap for y'all. Only on KBLA, Talk 1580. We got your black.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the conversation live, Altadena Rising. I'm your host, James Farr, and we are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. Wow, I mean, this thing, it happens, and it happens real quick around here, but, we got work to do. We are doing the work. This is somewhat of a milestone. This is show number 9. We've been doing this for 9 straight weeks, and we have many more ahead of us. But it is work. It is a sacrifice in some respects, but it is also an honor, a duty. I want to thank Erica, Alexis with Bridgeline Construction, and Chris Walker with R.E.M Supply for stopping by with us and talking with us. But like I said, we got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. So I'm going to send us on out with this one, and I'll talk with you on the other side. All right. I mean, y'all know I can't build nothing, so I've already confessed that a little bit earlier today. But, you know, we can show you how to work, and there's a lot of good work happening in the community right here at this station. And I don't know if I told y'all earlier, this is the show of record, and we are chronicling for the nation the January Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, which devastated a black community. Folks are, pulling themselves together. They're pulling their resources together and figuring out a path forward, what a new future will look like. But it is going to require some work. Big shout out to the entire team that helps put this together. Kim, Nyla, Reggie, Brother Simeon back there on the boards, who keeps the grooves going. And again, you're listening to the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. I'm your host, James Farr. We are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel. Angela Roddick Wright is up next with the Legal End. She has an amazing show. As always, agape.